Hi, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Loyalty Programs and Zero-Party Data. We're excited to be joined by amazing speakers from Loyalty Reward Company, Philip Shelper, and we've got a small Aquaria demo as well. Before we proceed, just like to quickly introduce you to Aquaria, who we are and what we do. We are a digital experience platform that enables organisations to build, host, analyse, communicate with their customers at scale through websites and digital experiences. As a trusted open source leader, we use artificial intelligence to produce better business outcomes for our CX leaders. And some of our customers include Tennis Australia, Translink, Centara, Lululemon, MediaCorp, Football Federation Australia, and Johnson & Johnson. So for our agenda, we'll run for about 60 minutes and we aim to have you out of here on time. Our speakers will cover the following topics: loyalty programs, data collection and zero-party data, and digital transformation. And now we'll introduce our first speaker, Philip Shelper, CEO, Loyalty and Reward Company. Philip is the CEO and founder of Australia's leading loyalty consulting agency, Loyalty and Reward Company. He has extensive experience within the loyalty industry, including roles at Qantas, Frequent Flyer, and Vodafone. Phil is a member of several hundred loyalty programs and an obsessive researcher of loyalty psychology and loyalty history, of which he uses to understand the essential dynamics of what makes a successful loyalty program. Phil is also the author of best-selling loyalty programs, The Complete Guide, the definitive book for everything related to loyalty programs globally. Thank you, Philip. I'll also be speaking towards the end. My role here will be to show you some CDP as a marketing cloud director for APG and supporting our customers. So let's hand over to Philip.
All right. Thanks, Cam. So can you see my screen there? All right.
Yes.
Fantastic. Okay, great. So welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about loyalty programs, zero-party data, digital transformation, and all other exciting things. Just to introduce ourselves a little bit more, I started a company just over 8 years ago, and since then we've consulted to over 60 brands around the world. We're currently doing some big projects with companies in the US, also in Chile. We've got a few potential projects about to kick off in Asia as well. So we're starting to, get some really good traction with the business all around the world. As Cam mentioned, I belong to lots and lots of loyalty programs. Typically what I and my team do is whenever we pick up a new client in a particular industry, we'll go and join all the loyalty programs in that industry in order to get an understanding of what the competition are doing. And we'll also study programs in the same industries overseas as well to try and, get a sense of different approaches that the companies are taking as part of our discovery phase. And through that, over the years, I've joined a lot of programs. I get a lot of marketing emails and I'll be sharing some of the insights that I've picked up as a result of doing that in the session today. We also do a lot in the area of loyalty education. So as Cam mentioned, last year we launched the first edition of our book, Loyalty Programs, A Complete Guide, which we believe filled a gap in the market. For anyone who's in the loyalty industry, you'll appreciate that there's not really any books out there that tell you everything that you need to know about loyalty programs. So we decided that we would actually create that book, and it's been selling very well, and also acting as a really good way to showcase what we can do to different clients also. So you can get that on Amazon. We also run the loyalty programs and member engagement course through ADMA. As well. We've got the next course coming up in early October. Also been interested for quite a few years in the use of blockchain in loyalty, and I wrote a first and second edition of blockchain loyalty a few years ago as well. And finally, in 2019, we were engaged by the ACCC to write a report on the Australian loyalty industry as a precursor to them doing full industry review. and the report that we wrote is published on their website as well. Okay, so the main thing that we're going to be talking about today is something that we developed last year called the Member Engagement Canvas. Often we are engaged by customers and by clients to design them a loyalty program, but what's been quite clear to us over the years in engaging more and more customers and clients is that they are often deficient in other areas of the business, which means that the loyalty program that we'd be designing for them or their existing loyalty program that we'd be redesigning is only going to be so effective because the other areas required to magnify the benefits of that loyalty program are not there. So we're going to be talking through the Member Engagement Canvas today as a way to structure the presentation. So firstly, we'll be talking about loyalty programs and what makes for a best practice loyalty program. But then we're also going to talk about the need for a really good quality comprehensive lifecycle management strategy. We'll be talking about how important it is to have a comprehensive proactive data collection strategy, the role that analytics and reporting need to play in maximising the advantages of having a good quality loyalty program. And then we're going to talk about omni-channel personalization as well, which is where all of the data and the insights are taken in order to deliver a personalized experience to the member, no matter what channel they are engaging with as well. So let's jump into the Member Engagement Canvas. So first off, with a loyalty program, the first step that we do when we're working with a client is we map out the customer journey. So how does the customer become aware that the company exists? How does the company get into the member's consideration set? What process does the customer go through in order to evaluate whether they want to engage with the company in purchasing their products or their services? What is required in order to then influence that customer to complete a transaction? And then when they've done their first transaction, to continue to engage ongoing. And when they're engaging ongoing, to actually turn them into an advocate where they're actively promoting the brand, the products or services to family and friends. So the first step that we do is we go through and we say, what is the customer journey? And then what is the desired member behavior at each stage of that customer journey? So what is it that each one of those points that the company would love the customer to do if they had the ability to influence that customer behavior? Because ultimately, loyalty programs are customer behavior stimulation programs. So if you can understand what behavior that you want and you can understand the best way to influence a customer to follow that behavior, that then provides you with everything you need in order to design a really effective loyalty program. So what we do once we've mapped out the behaviours along that customer journey is we go through and say, where's the opportunity exist for a loyalty program to be applied at each step of that journey in order to incentivise and reinforce those desired behaviours. And we've been using this approach for quite some time now, and we've found that it's proving to be really effective in helping to design the best possible program design for specific customers. The other thing that we do when we're looking at designing a loyalty program for a company is looking at all of the different possible design options. So when we speak to most companies about what sort of loyalty program that they would work best for them, most of them, the response that we generally get is, I don't know, points, maybe status tiers. I kind of like frequent flyer programs. And it doesn't really progress much beyond that because that's the sum total of their experience with loyalty programs. And that's probably the best loyalty program experience they've had. And so that's what they're thinking when they are trying to conceptualize what would work best for their customers. Unfortunately, and I saw there's some people on the call today from Air New Zealand. As you'd well appreciate, a complex frequent flyer model works very well for an airline, but it doesn't work so well if you try to apply it to other companies and other industries. So it's really important that companies are aware of the vast range of different types of loyalty program approaches that are available to them. So as part of joining hundreds of loyalty programs and studying hundreds more, we've gone through and categorized all the different types of loyalty program and member engagement program approaches that we see companies taking around the world. And we've developed out 10 different major categories. And underneath these 10 categories, we've got a further 23 subcategories of different types of program approaches. So when we're going and working with a client, we'll work through all of these different designs, different frameworks, and try to get a sense of which one of these or combination of these is going to work best in order to stimulate those specific desired behaviours that the customer wants at each stage of the journey. So you've got your basic punch card model. So everyone would have had the experience of this from a coffee shop or a cafe where you pick up a paper card and have it stamped. Hotels.com does a more complex version of this, where you get a stamp for every night that you stay, and when you've stayed 10 nights, you can earn a free night. And the way that they do that is they take an average of the amount that's been spent across those 10 nights and return 10% of that back to the member. If the free night is less than that, then it's a free night. If it's more than that, then it can be applied as a discount. So there's some pretty cool stuff happening with punch cards. The next one is currencies. So obviously points and miles is what most people have been exposed to with loyalty currencies, but there's actually heaps of different types of loyalty currencies around. One of the things that I do, as Cam mentioned, is study the history of loyalty programs all the way back to the 1850s, when we saw the first real modern loyalty program launched in New York City. And back then they actually, it was a soap manufacturer called B.T. Babbitt. So he was the inventor of the individually wrapped bar of soap. And he used to get his customers to collect the logos on his bars of soap and then send them in to exchange for a reward. So that was the original loyalty currency. More recently, we're seeing cryptocurrencies being used. So Bitcoin, as an example. We're also seeing tokenized assets being used, so tokenized shares or tokenized real estate. So there's a lot of variety there in what could be used for different types of programs. Tiers is an important one. So that might be a standalone tier program, such as Google Local Guides, or it might be combined with a currency program, such as a frequent flyer program as well. Member benefits is something that we're seeing a lot of these days, particularly amongst companies that are within industries that don't actually have a lot of value to give back. So utilities, telcos, insurance companies are all using a member benefits type approach, whereby simply being a customer, you can engage with the program and get access to different types of benefits. So that might be within the company, such as what IKEA uses with IKEA Family, or it could be external third-party benefits, such as discount gift cards, movie tickets, accommodation, attractions, that type of thing. Discounts is a pretty common loyalty strategy. So if you join the program, every time you transact, you get a discount, or it might be that the more you spend, the more you move up tiers and unlock higher discounts as well, such as what Staples use in the US. Credits is an interesting one. So a good example of a company using credits is Uniqlo. So if you're a member of the Uniqlo program, when you go and transact, if you spend over $50, you get a $5 credit back. And then you can use that credit on your next visit, provided that you spend over $50. So we're starting to see more and more companies use this as an alternative to currencies. I guess it's much more tangible to the customer. They're not having to earn points and then figure out what those points are worth. They've got a currency, an actual dollar value sitting in their account, and they know what it's worth, and they want to figure out how they can actually use that in order to access that value. And then you've got some different variations as well. So referral programs. Tesla is very well known for their referral program, particularly the early one that provided the opportunity for people to refer other customers and actually get a free Tesla out of it. Although they have changed that, they come out with a new version of it every year. Surprise and delight is a really effective mechanism for driving loyalty, particularly for more premium customers as well. So we're starting to see some of the more sophisticated loyalty programs weave surprise and delight elements into their program as well. Gamification is a really important one, and we'll talk more about that a bit later when we're starting to think about how best to collect data about customers and how to incentivize them to share more data, particularly zero and first-party data as well. And finally, merchant funded. So this is a really big growth area for the loyalty industry globally. And a really good example of this is card-linked offers, card-linked rewards. So that's where the loyalty program invites you to take a card, a debit card or credit card out of your wallet and register it. And when you go and spend with participating merchants with that card, it will actually track that transaction, and you'll be provided with some cash back or some points in for that transaction as well. So in Australia, the big banks are using this very effectively. CBA, Westpac and ANZ all have their own card linking programs. Members can engage and activate merchant offers and go and transact there and earn cash back. And we're starting to see the frequent flyer programs experimenting with this as well. So as you can see, loyalty programs aren't just about points. There's actually a really wide and vast range of different types of loyalty program frameworks that are available. And when we go and talk with customers about the fact that there is so much opportunity for them to do different types of approaches in order to stimulate those desirable customer behaviours, it really opens their mind to what's possible. And as a result of taking them on that journey and collaborating with them on the design approach, we end up getting a really good result for most of the loyalty programs that we design. The other thing that we do when we're considering loyalty programs is what is it that makes a best practice program? So once again, as a result of joining and studying lots of loyalty programs, but also reading a lot of the academic research and academic literature about loyalty programs, we've devised these 8 essential principles of best practice loyalty programs and member engagement. So I'm going to take you through these now. So this is what we say, where we say, if your loyalty program has most or all of these elements within it, then it's generally considered to be best practice. We're pretty critical when we're engaged to go and conduct an audit on a loyalty program or critique it, because we find that a lot of loyalty programs are pretty deficient in many of these areas. But if you do have a loyalty program within your business, then have a think about how well it matches up against these principles. So the first one is that it's simple. So simple to join, simple to understand, and simple to engage with. We find most programs make the join process way too hard, but also the way that they explain the benefits of the program is not clear and concise as well. Or they might have to get the customer to go through quite a complicated process in order to engage. And that's a real problem, because what we're finding increasingly, and I'm sure if you're managing your own customer bases or member bases, you probably find the same, is trying to get customers to do anything whatsoever is becoming increasingly difficult. So whenever we're designing a loyalty program, we do our best to weave it into any existing processes that the company might have for member engagement. And when we're thinking more broadly about how the member engages with that loyalty program, we try to weave it into their everyday spend habits or weave it into the way that they're already engaging with that company, so to make it as seamless and frictionless as possible. So simple is a really important one. The second one is valuable. So if you think about any loyalty programs that you belong to, the reason why you join that loyalty program is because you believe that you are going to get value out of doing so. And the reason why you're continuing to engage with that program is because you perceive that you are getting value out of that membership. Otherwise, you would have thrown the plastic card in the bin years ago, or you would have deleted the app from your phone. And I'm sure all of us have a long list of loyalty programs that we've joined in the past that we've decided that it's not worth engaging with anymore. So value is really the most important driver, the most important principle, and companies who have a loyalty program should be continually striving to figure out how they can deliver more and more value to their members in order to ensure that they remain engaged in that way. Now, that's pretty challenging for some companies. Airlines get it easy with empty seats on flights that they can provide to their members. Hotels have it easy with empty rooms that they can provide to members. Cinemas have it really easy. They can give away free tickets and candy bar items that they have ridiculous margins on. But most companies, it can be pretty challenging. We're working with a client at the moment where the margin that they earn is about 1% to 2%. So trying to devise a program where they take some of that margin to give back to their customers is really not workable. So we're having to think about other ways that they can access value. Stimulating is a really important one. I'm sure you'll all agree that there's a lot of really, really boring loyalty programs out there. And this is where gamification elements can come in, and also the use of digital games as well. So we're starting to see a lot of companies around the world using digital games as a wider part of their loyalty program. Boost Juice in Australia did a really great job of this a couple of years ago, but all the quick service restaurants, the fast food restaurants are using it a lot. So KFC, McDonald's, Hungry Jack's, Burger King, they're all starting to experiment with using digital games where the customer can play a simple game and then unlock an offer or a free product in order to drive that stimulation as well. So there's some really exciting stuff happening in that space. Emotional is a really important one. As everyone knows, particularly if you've worked in marketing or brand, being able to generate an emotional engagement between a customer and the brand is very, very powerful in order to turn them into an advocate and all the benefits that come from that in the terms of lower churn rate, more forgiving into when things go wrong, less price sensitive, and so on and so forth. But it can be hard for some brands to generate an emotional engagement. So, if you are a customer of a gas or electricity company, the likelihood of actually feeling some, emotional attachment to that brand is going to be pretty challenging. So I think we need to agree that not all brands can do it, but some brands do it, and they do it really well. And within the context of a loyalty program, typically this comes from providing the member with a sense of belonging and a sense of exclusivity. So this sounds pretty terrible, but psychologically, as humans, we love the idea that we're getting access to something that other people don't have access to. So whether it's being able to board the plane first, whether it's being able to go into an exclusive lounge, whether it's being, sitting in business class and sipping a glass of champagne while all the economy passengers file past, or being invited to VIP events, getting special gifts in the mail, and so on and so forth. That really appeals to us. It helps boost our self-esteem and generates that emotional engagement. So I think it's important to, analyze whether your loyalty program and whether your brand has the opportunity to generate that type of emotional engagement. But if the opportunity is there, then the loyalty program provides a really great way to stimulate that. Complementary is an important one. So making sure that the rewards range and the program is designed to actually complement the brand so that it actually makes contextual sense to the member. Differentiating is a really important one. We're working with a company in the US at the moment who are the number 3 in the market, and the number 1 and 2 brands in that market are using the exact same design for their loyalty programs. So what we're saying to them is, let's do something completely different to what they're doing for your loyalty program design, because that's going to be a way for you to differentiate yourself in the market and stand out and help get into that consideration set of different customers that you're going after. Cost effective is really important. So it's all good and well to say, let's give away lots of value. But if it's going to mean that the program is running at a negative return on investment, then it's not really sustainable. We do a lot of commercial modeling for our customers. So once we've designed a loyalty program, we'll go and develop the commercial model in order to demonstrate how much it's going to cost and what sort of uplift would be required from a revenue and margin perspective to make it work in order to ensure that it is as cost effective as possible. And finally, evolving. Most loyalty programs get put in as a big project, and then once it's launched, the project team moves on to the next project, and the loyalty program's just there sort of doing its thing, whether it's working or not, whether it's delivering to the the initial objectives or not is, kind of irrelevant, unfortunately. So whenever we're designing programs for our clients, we always say, make sure that you have the right size team to run the program, and make sure you have budget available in order to enable them to continue to evolve the program over time based on customer feedback loop, based on analytics, so that they can continue to optimize it over time and grow and deepen the member engagement as well. So that is the 8 principles of best practice loyalty programs and member engagement. Okay, so we're going to move on to lifecycle management now. Now, some of you might actually have good quality lifecycle management strategies in place as part of your loyalty program or even your wider customer engagement communications. Typically, we find that the vast majority of companies that we come into contact with are really deficient in this area. They might have a simple welcome email. They might have maybe like a referral program. But for the most part, 99% of their comms is focused on growth, where they're just pumping out emails and trying to stimulate their customer to spend, and just get that short-term sugar hit of revenue inflow, which is, unfortunately disappointing and very much a sign of our times. So as part of the loyalty program, we spend a lot of time developing best practice lifecycle management strategies for the customers. So looking at the segments from prospects all the way through to active, we look at the customer life stages. So what is the communications approach when the member joins, and is that optimized? What is the process by which you get that customer to transact in order to unlock a reward so that they feel like they've got some early value out of the program and they understand how it works? How do you then take that customer to maximum engagement so that they're transacting on a regular basis and feeling positive about the brand? And then if the member starts to decrease their engagement, what are the mechanisms by which automated communications will go out to them with relevant offers to bring them back to that stage of maximum engagement? And if they disengage altogether, what are the different types of win-back strategies that are being utilised in order to try and get that customer to come back and start engaging with the company again? Really, the best types of lifecycle management strategies that we have seen have dynamic communications. So when a communication is sent out to the customer, how the member responds to that, whether they take up the offer, whether they open it, and so on and so forth, then influences the next communication that's sent. And obviously, the full manifestation of this is AI-powered communications, where the member is receiving a hyper-personalized, individualized communication, and then depending on what they do with that is measured by the AI, and that then learns and uses that to influence the next communication that they're going to send as well. So I think irrespective of how good your lifecycle management strategy is, it can always be improved, and it's a really, really critical foundation layer to be supporting your loyalty program in order to maximise that member engagement. Okay, so moving on to data collection now. So there's a lot of different ways that data can be collected, but I thought before we step into that, we might talk about the different types of data. So firstly, third-party data, it's mostly inferred, but also can be observed as well. And you may get some self-reported elements as well. So there's some really good platforms out there that can collect social media posts by customers and tie that back to their profile as well. It might also be if someone goes and connects to a Wi-Fi system that their movement around the store can be tracked and so on and so forth. Second-party data is then looking at what their product and category preferences are by following them around the internet. So the main way that that's happening at the moment is cookies, although as everyone's well aware, cookies are on the way out. So having an alternative data strategy is really important as well. First-party and zero-party data is where loyalty programs really come into their own. So through first-party data, that is where you get the member to go through a registration process and provide their demographic data, where they live, what their mobile phone number is, but also be able to track their purchase history as well. So you can actually start to get a really good profile of who they are. And if you've got that, you can then start to weave in second-party and third-party data into that data set as well, and start to make better use of those inferred and observed data actions. And then, of course, zero-party data is the holy grail, and where most companies need to focus a lot more resources and attention. That is where the customer is actually actively wanting to tell the brand about what they want and what they like in order for that brand to be able to use that data to better personalize their experience as well. So in terms of ways that data is collected, loyalty programs is one of the best ways ever devised to collect a lot of data about customers. And there's so many different ways that it can be done. So firstly, the join process. So whether you collect a very, very small amount of data, we've been engaging with loyalty programs in Australia and in the US, where in order to join, the only thing you have to give is a mobile number, and every time you transact, you just quote your mobile number, and they don't ask for any more data than that. Whereas others are still using paper forms, and you have to fill in a paper form. So I joined the Just Jeans loyalty program a few weeks ago. I had to pay $5 to join. I had to fill in a paper form, and then I never heard from them again. So very, very unusual experience. But it's important to think about the type of data that you want to collect from that customer, and try to ask for just enough, but not too much. So if it's not absolutely critical, then you need to consider whether you would ask for that. The next one is general interactions. So tracking the member when they engage with the website and following them around, whether that's cookies or whether they're logged in, looking at all the different ways that they interact with digitally, but also through things like the call center as well. The next one obviously is transactions, which we talked about before. So seeing what the customer's actually spending their money on with you. Surveys is a really important one as well. So here's where we're starting to talk about building in some gamification elements. So incentivizing the member with some points or some credit or entry to a competition to fill in a survey to tell them more about themselves and be able to tie that data back to their profile is a really important one. Apps is, as I'm sure you're all aware, an amazing way to collect enormous amounts of data about customers. Virtual home assistants are now becoming well established also, and brands have the opportunity to install apps into virtual home assistants and start collecting some good quality data about what's happening within the home also. Social media linking is still a really, really relevant one. There's more social media engagement than ever before these days. And if you can get the customer to link their member account to social media accounts, then the amount of data that's available there is phenomenal. Household clustering is something that's used by some companies. So we're doing some work at the moment with Loyalty New Zealand, who run Flybys in New Zealand. They've got a really effective household program. So that not only do they know about an individual and where they live, but they know about all of the individuals in a household who are members of theirs, so they can get a full picture of what's going in that household and tailor comms accordingly. And we know of a number of other companies that are doing similar things as well. And then finally, if you don't feel like you're getting enough data directly from your own program, you've got the opportunity to engage data brokers in order to buy data sets that you can match against those customers as well. You need to make sure that the data broker is reputable and that the data quality that you get is good quality, because if you're wanting to use that in order to enhance the customer experience, it's important to make sure that the data is accurate. So that's just a small taste of some of the ways that loyalty programs can be used to build out your data set. Reporting and analytics then is obviously very important. So once you've got the data in your database and it's relevant and usable data, then building out that reporting and analytics set is really important. From our perspective, the majority of companies that we've worked for, we see very, very frustrated staff who just do not have access to the reporting and analytics that they need to do their job properly. So I think companies need to spend a lot more time and focus on getting access to are providing access to their staff to be able to, find out the really critical insights that they need in order to develop their strategies in an informed way. So making sure that there's access to dashboards, that there's access to reports, that they have people within the business who can run short queries for them in order to provide those critical insights is really, really important. And unfortunately, most companies are deficient in this area. One piece of good news about that is that with the rise of customer data platforms and other types of technology that are getting better and better at automating the use of data, that it is possible to actually access systems that can unlock, all of those insights that are available there and provide easy access for customers, for your staff to be able to use them. Here's something that I stole off LinkedIn this morning that I thought was really good in just illustrating, a very clean way to think about data. So the first one is accessing a lot of data, but making sure that you've got the right bricks. We work with a lot of companies that have a lot of data, but when you go through and look at the data, most of it's just not usable. They're just collecting it because they think they should be collecting data, but they haven't actually focused on collecting the right type of data. Then once you've collected that data, sorting it so that it is accessible, arranging it so that analytics can be easily run after it, and then obviously presenting it visually. And then using it to actually tell the full story. So I think for the most part, most of the companies that we work with are stuck at the pile of Lego in the first image and really struggling to get much beyond that. So having a really good quality data strategy within the business to unlock those reporting and analytics to be able to tell that story is an important journey that all clients need to go on. And then omni-channel personalization. So this is where the customer receives a personalized experience across any channel that they engage with. So it's really taking everything that you've learned about them from their engagement with the loyalty program, from their engagement with the lifecycle strategy, from all of the data that you've collected about them, all the analytics that you've run on them in order to deliver a tailored experience. So first off, you've got all of that data that is stored in your data warehouse or your data lake that is being intelligently drawn on. The next step is developing content, but also developing targeting. So what is the communication that you're going to go out to with a customer? Is it an offer or is it something else? And who are you going to target that communication to? And then what channel are you going to use in order to communicate? Is it via the app? Is it via email? Is it via the website? Is it all three? Or is it through the store? So one of the big trends that we see globally is actually in-store personalization. We're working with a company in South America at the moment who own a large number of service stations and convenience stores. And at the service stations, they have attendants, which isn't something that you see very much anymore in the West. So we're designing a program for them such that when they drive up to the Bowser in order to get filled up, the attendant will start by scanning their ID card in order to identify who they are, and that will then serve up what offers are available to them at that time, and the whole experience can be fully personalised to who they are and what value is available for them. So we expect to see more and more of this type of approach being rolled out across retail as it becomes smarter in the use of data. And then finally serving all of that up to the member, and then seeing how the member responds and feeding that in as an insight which can then be used for the next member transaction. The ultimate manifestation from our perspective of omni-channel personalization is what we call digital EQ. So that's the ability to anticipate and recognize customer sentiment and deliver a digitally enabled response which optimizes the customer experience in real time, serving to build a deeper emotional connection. So a really good example of this is Uber Eats. My COO of Loyalty and Reward Co, Max Sevransky, had an experience last year where he ordered some food through Uber Eats and it was delayed because the restaurant was delayed. So Uber Eats sensed that he was going in on a regular basis and checking where the food was, and it proactively served up a message to say, we're sorry there is a delay there, so we're going to actually provide you with some account credit in order to apologise for the delay. And from his perspective, he was amazed at how clever the system was in order to identify that he was trying to figure out what was happening and was clearly unhappy with the delay, and serve something up to actually make him feel good about using Uber Eats rather than feeling annoyed. So I think there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of experiences to apply digital EQ across your entire customer base once you've got everything else in place that we've talked through today as part of the member experience canvas. And then the last step is test and learn optimization. So when you've got everything in place, it's important to continually test it, continually try new things, and make sure that everything is moving towards a state of optimization. It's very rare that we'll come across a company that has a good quality test and learn methodology and culture within the company. So it's really important to always be setting up these small trials and learning and seeing how customers respond to different things as a way to making stuff increasingly better and better. Okay, so that's everything that I wanted to present today. I think we've done pretty good with time. So what I will do now is open up for Q&A.
Thank you, Philip. That's awesome. Yes, we do have a couple of questions in the chat. I'll just read out the first one. What is the most successful loyalty program you're aware of, and why is it so successful?
Wow. Okay. So I always say that the best loyalty program is a good quality customer and service, product and service experience. My favorite loyalty program, which isn't even really a loyalty program, is at the Waldorf Astoria in New York. So what they do is they provide a personal concierge to any guests who are booked to go and stay there, and the concierge actually contacts the person before they arrive in order to find out what they are doing when they're in New York and what they can help provide support to them on. And when they arrive, they're basically greeted as though they belong there. The staff are also requested to find out as much as they can about the customer in terms of what they like, what they don't like, what paper they read, how they take their coffee or tea, what flowers they like. And all of that information is collected in a CDP, which all staff have access to, so that as the customer goes throughout their stay, their experience can be perfectly tailored to them as an individual. Now, that sounds pretty challenging for most companies to actually be able to deliver, but I think with the rise of CDPs, it's becoming more and more possible to deliver some level of personalised experience to customers. And I think from the loyalty industry's perspective, it is really, really exciting because from our perspective, we've seen members of programs really respond positively to that.
Yeah, awesome. Beth actually said CDP, Customer Data Platform. So that's what it actually stands for. And I will actually give a short demo of our CDP and a couple of targeted pickups from your presentation as well. I guess from your example, the ability to serve loyalty rewards depends on how much people are spending as well, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I think it does become challenging. Certainly from our perspective in retail, we're seeing a lot of points-based programs that are failing because customers are just not spending enough at an individual level with those retailers in order to earn enough points to be able to get any meaningful reward. So a lot of what we do when we are working with clients is we do some early commercial modelling to get a sense of, how much people are spending and what could be returned to them to make sure that that value equation is solved for within the program.
Yeah. There's a question again. Loyalty programs are all about rewarding the members after they have transacted. It's all about C and rewards. Then what role does a customer journey play in the loyalty program?
Yeah, I think for the most part there is that sense of do the action and then you'll get a reward, and that is the standard loyalty program model. But I don't think it needs to be that black and white. Certainly, from all of the loyalty programs that we design, we always include some form of incentivized join bonus in order to encourage people to engage, and that's before they've done any transaction. They simply need to register, and then as I've spoken about, it's actually that personalization of experience, the good quality lifecycle communications is what actually makes a loyalty program really pump. So it doesn't always just need to be a straight transact and you'll get something, transact and you'll get something. There's lots of ways to engage members and provide them with value that don't require them having to actually spend money. And so, through gamification designs, there's a lot of non-transactional behaviour that can be rewarded in that respect as well.
And I guess that's where a good, data strategy or data technology comes into play. So that if you've offered someone a discount, or if they're already loyal, then you don't offer them something, against what the experience that they've received.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
Yep. There is a question here. Please expand on approaches companies can take to use a loyalty program as a catalyst for a full company-wide digital transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think everything that I've just spoken through in terms of the member engagement canvas is effectively a digital transformation. So more often than not, we'll engage companies who don't really have anything of what I've just talked through from that engagement canvas in place, or they might have certain elements of it, but not the whole picture. So the conversations that we're having with a number of our clients at the moment is you need to go through a digital transformation, start with the loyalty program, and then utilize the loyalty program as a focal point to then drive the rest of that engagement out throughout the business. Typically, companies that have failed to execute a good quality digital transformation have failed because they don't have the right technology in place, and the loyalty platforms that are available these days. A bit of a Swiss Army knife, to be honest with you. They can be the CRM, they can be the CDP, they can have the rules engine to manage all of the complexities of the loyalty program. They can do reporting and analytics. They can even do all of the marketing as well. So depending on the company and what their needs are, there's a really great opportunity to use a loyalty program project as a way to drive out that full digital transformation of a company. And we've done it several times now over the past couple of years for reasonably sized companies with really great results.
Awesome. That's fantastic. We have another question. Can you give an example of a loyalty program using zero or first-party data to enrich the customer experience or product offering at scale?
Yeah, so probably the best example from our perspective is Woolworths Rewards, Everyday Rewards. They're using Quantium, which is a full AI marketing engine in order to do all of their communications. So they collect enormous amounts of first and zero-party data, as well as data through data brokers, in order to really understand what individuals are looking for and what they're going to respond to. And so, on a weekly basis, they'll send out, 5, 10, 15, 20 million emails, all of them individualized to the person that's being targeted. And the AI will then track how that person responds and engages with that email, learn from it, and that will then influence what they do next as well. I've been having quite a good play with it over the last 6 months. So I'll go and transact with Woolworths for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'll stop and see what happens, and start to get increasingly better and better offers. And then I'll go and engage again, and then stop. And it's fascinating to see how the system responds in different ways based on different transaction patterns. Very, very clever.
That's awesome. And also that's particularly at scale, right? The amount of transactional POS transactions created, and consumers as well multiply that exponentially.
Yeah, they've got 12 million members and they've got pretty high engagement rates as well. So that's definitely a scale play.
That's awesome. I think we've come to the end of the questions. Is there anything else you wanted to close off before we do hand over?
Yep. So the only other thing is I'd love to connect with all of you on LinkedIn. So please do a search and send me a connection request. And if you're really interested in finding out as much as you can about loyalty programs, our book is available on Amazon. So please jump on and purchase a copy. Thank you so much for your time.
Awesome. Thanks, Philip. So, hi, everyone. If you'd like to stay on for a little bit longer, I'm just going to show you a little bit of information about the customer data platform from Aquaria. I'll do a couple of slides. Hopefully, we won't go over time. It'll only take 5 or so minutes. And if you do want any follow-up, please contact either myself or Nicole or your Aquaria contact. But let me take you through the Aquaria customer data platform. And again, just for a little bit of background and information, what exactly is it? Philip mentioned CDP a couple of times through the presentation. And essentially, it's a system that unifies data from multiple channels to enable modeling and optimize timing, targeting of messaging. And of course, zero-party data or first-party data is the key input into these the customer data platform. And why would you actually do that? Because the customer data platform creates your foundation for clean and then intelligent customer-based data as opposed to product only or as opposed to sales transaction only. It's focused on the customer and the ability to do analytics, so to understand who your high-value customers are in order to reward them in a loyalty sense. And then the other component of a customer data platform is to send that data somewhere. So we call that activate to another destination. That might be your existing email platform, or that could be a website for personalization, or it could be to a call center. The key value of a customer data platform, we call that a single customer view, whereby you have lots and lots of variations of customers, individual records coming from lots of different systems, and you unify that into a single profile and all their behavior and all their loyalty and all their transactions to uncover customer insights through analytics and dashboards, and then to send that across channels. And obviously you want that to happen in real time, because customers, particularly in a web or app sense, you only have them for a short amount of time, but you want to offer them the most hyper-personalized experience. If you look at it from a kind of a solution or architecting perspective, as Philip mentioned, he spoke specifically about the types of data that go into a loyalty platform. We'll add all the other data that a business may create as well, things like call center data, your existing CRM, any website behavioral data, any channel performance data, so people who have engaged on your email channel or your SMS or your mobile app, and of course that rich transactional data from point of sale and e-commerce. The customer data platform ingests all that data. You can also append it from external data, second or third party data, and then ultimately send it out on the right-hand side to all those different different places. The yellow boxes represent kind of high-level groupings, but within that there are a whole heap of different places like SSPs or Facebook or your call center dialer or your multiple websites as well. And just a couple of key functional components of the customer data platform and the kind of individual features that make up those components. So into the single customer view, for example, as Philip mentioned, you have to have that clean data. You have to have a way to clean that. You have to dedupe records across multiple data and also stitch together cookie and offline data and email data and call center data as well. The Aquaria CDP also has a very strong analytics and machine learning capability, clustering already out of the box through dimensions and measures that are built from that core data, also create predictive algorithms, and then activation and orchestration out to multiple channels based on triggers, et cetera, et cetera. and we can follow this up with some information. So, taking you through a very simple example. This is the platform itself. On the left-hand side are all the key components. What I've done is I've searched for a particular record, and this is our example, Katie Cartwright. And when Katie shows up, you can see multiple views into her individual record. This is the result of that combining of the data into a unique profile. And therefore, we can see a full lifetime value of everything she's purchased and some statistics about her purchase behavior. We can also see the types of events that have contributed to Katie's profile, so the number of emails she sent and received, and then also some of examples of some transactions she's purchased as well. So from a loyalty perspective, if you think of each individual as, a Katie, and then potentially a partner, and then all the other people in your database, then you can add a kind of tier onto that and give her some sort of machine learning segments. So her likelihood to engage via channel, her likelihood to buy is high, and her likelihood to pay full price and things like that. So all these sorts of insights into the data that has been ingested give you that kind of sense of where to send communications out to and in what loyalty tier she may belong to. So I'm quickly going to show you an example of how you would build a campaign from this data that we've ingested and created into a profile. And this campaign is a loyal customer outreach. In the second, there's some segments here. So we're only interested in people who are in the gold tier and who exclude people who haven't purchased in the last 60 days. So they may be because of COVID or something, we've extended the purchase time. And then we can go and look for some machine learning segments in order to add to that segment as well. So her behaviour-based transaction is equal to, and we'll search for a particular tier, a loyal buyer, for example. So here we've got someone who's explicitly in the loyalty tier, and based on machine learning, we can change that to an or relationship there and say people who the system thinks are loyal buyers, but they haven't purchased in the last 60 days. And then we want to communicate with them via email, or in this case, it's going to be Facebook as well, and maybe to mobile phone for SMS. And we can start to split that data into different segments, people who have a valid email and people who have, a mobile app messaging turned on. Or we could do A/B and multivariate testing. We can add some content here, some personalized content for each individual segment. And finally, we'll send it out to two destinations, one to Facebook custom audiences and one to Adobe Campaign, in this example, to send to the email and mobile app messaging. So this is an example, a very quick example of how you would build a campaign in the CDP based from that unified profile from all that ingested customer data from Xero first-party data or even data append. And then just quickly, as closing this off, here's some examples of a dashboard whereby we're looking over some key KPIs for the business or the new customers, customer acquisition and value progression as well. And that comes from the data and insights engine that's built into the platform as well. So that was a super, super quick demonstration of the Aquaria CDP. And please, if you reach out to us, if you would like any information or link in with Philip and, of course, buy the book on Amazon. But we really, really thank you for your time today. We will send out a recording to everyone on the call. And thank you for joining us and enjoy the rest of your day.